My whole life, I've looked for one. And, well, hell, most of us wanted one. From a ripe old age of about 4 years old, most guys and girls that get into cars dream of getting their very first sports car. Their first car ever. They plan for it to be a sports car. But then, as we all know it, life gets in the way. Some of us choose to go after it, and some of us choose to just let life go its way. Well, for the rest of us in the world that choose for life to go that way, the aftermarket industry opens up an entire market of possibilities for us to turn everyday automobiles into that cool sports car we once had. But yet, it's still not that sports car. And now with a family, we need something to get the family around. Well, this is an idea that's been plaguing automobile designers and companies since all the way back in the 1950s. How do we get families into sports cars? If we can manage to get families into sports cars, we can grow that market exponentially. But first, you got to take a look at what already exists to help you create what you need. So today, AutoLooks is taking a look at family-friendly sports cars. Welcome back to the AutoLooks podcast. I am your host, as always, the doctor to the automotive industry, Mr. Everett J, coming to you from our host website at autolooks.net. If you haven't been there, stop by, check it out, read some of the reviews, check out some of the ratings. Go to the Corporate Links website page, big or small. We have them all, car companies from around the globe, all available in one direct location, and that is the autolooks.net website, the Corporate Links page at the top of the main website. Just click that and go through. See all the different car companies you can find from all the different countries where car companies have existed and to this day still exist. All brought to you by our host website. The AutoLooks podcast is brought to you by Ecom Entertainment Group and distributed by Podbeam.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email over at email@autolooks.net. And if you're really feeling up to it, stop by the website and click on a little tab at the bottom that tells you, hey, there's a newsletter. At some point in time, we're going to get back to you. You can think about it. Or hell, you could just send us a funny message and say, this just sucks. Okay? Get your head out of your ass and keep cruising, right? No. If you want to, you can do that. The whole world's full of it. People who want to give their opinions about every single thing out there. And like I said in the beginning, a family-friendly vehicle is along those lines. People make fun of car companies for doing this. The greatest example in the generation we're in now would be the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Now, we did a podcast about the evolution of the Mustang when the Mustang Mach-E finally hit the market. There's a reason behind it and a reason why it's there. Sure, a lot of us don't agree with the name, but you have to remember there were a lot of people out there who didn't agree with the Porsche Cayenne or even Ferrari creating the Purisang. Family-friendly vehicles have been a tried possibility for decades. Tons of car companies have played around with the ideas. And like we talked about in the intro, dating all the way back to the 1950s. If you want to see something really amazing that I found out, while I was doing the podcast for the shooting brakes, the cover car is actually concept. We all know about the Chevrolet Nomad, okay? The Chevy Nomad was a cool shooting brake, two-door wagon. That's shooting brakes back in the original days. The Australian market has kept them alive with, the Holden Sandman, kind of cool. And when you think about it, it's even cooler if you're blaring Metallica as you're driving down the road, driving in your Sandman, listening to Enter Sandman. Just great days, right? And most of the people that buy one of those things, they're probably rocking some Metallica, or in my case, Megadeth. You just got to keep it real. But those shooting brakes, they're kind of amazing vehicles. And the Nomad, if you didn't know this, our cover art for that podcast is based off the original concept, because the Nomad was originally supposed to be a family-friendly version of the Corvette. Yeah, Chevrolet in the 50s thought about the great success of the Corvette and how everyone wanted to get them. This is an American version of the Roadsters that all of the veterans who came back from World War II had seen on the other side of the ocean, that they brought home, that they wanted back home, but they wanted an American powerful one. And they got the Corvette. Chevrolet answered them and gave them the Corvette. Well, the Nomad was Chevrolet's attempt to give us a Corvette for your family. Because you got to remember, we're all moving to the suburbs. There's only one parent that's working. And, the one parent that's working also wants to blow off some steam. They want to have something cool and they want to have something fun. But if you got a Corvette in the garage, unless you can really afford a multitude of vehicles, in this case, a lot of families are getting into either one or two vehicles, that third vehicle was still kind of sitting out of your area. So the Corvette was selling, but wasn't selling to the young people who really wanted it. Ford in the 60s finally answered that with the Mustang, giving us 4 seats in a sports car. Well, 4 seats in a sports car have been around for decades. Grand touring models. You know, you get your GT Roadsters and your GTs. We all get it. GTS products, Grand Touring sports products, are usually only 2-seater vehicles. But a Grand Tourer product is usually built for more creature comforts with that power. You're talking about a 612 Scaletti from Ferrari. It's a Grand Touring product. It's made for creature comforts. We talked about that in Ferrari's Grand Touring products. A multitude of different ones that they've created and how that's all led up to the new Ferrari Purisang. Now, we all want that family-friendly vehicle. How many of us have had friends, you know, they get married and they gotta sell, you know, that going back to some people I knew, this one guy, he get married and then she gets pregnant. It's like, we need something safer for our child to move around in. And he's like, okay, I'll go out and get a vehicle. And he can't find anything within reason. And then it comes to it where he's got to sell his 93 Nissan 300Z T-Top. And he's got the turbo model. He does not want to part with the car he has loved and owned for nearly a decade, but he has to. It's the only way he can get a family-friendly vehicle to get the kid around in. Because, you know, trust me, I've seen somebody put a car seat in the back of a 300ZX. It's actually quite comical to even just see it in the back of one of those vehicles. It will fit. I'm assuming watching that person put their kid into the back of the 300ZX in a parking lot would be even funnier to see. Almost as funny as like when my wife and I used to go to the theaters on Tuesday on movie cheap nights, and we used to get there early because we leave work, we go to Costco, pick up a hot dog, you know, nice little cheaper night, and then we go to the movies and we'd sit in the parking lot and we watch people park. I literally watched this one person in a minivan back into the handicap sign, like that post sitting in the cement 3 times. On top of that, they also hit or ran over the curb another 4 times. Like, it's just funny to watch. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, this little kid in the back of 300ZX in a child seat, they got in there. But I want to know how they got in there. So you got to sell it. You're going to lose your family-friendly vehicle. And because of that, you're losing it. So we got the Corvette Nomad, the Corvair, and the original Pala concepts, all showcased a family-friendly, sports-inspired vehicle. But that wasn't enough. Well, along comes the 60s, and a gray man by the name of John Zachary DeLorean takes a Pontiac Tempest, jams a big block V8 underneath the hood, and gives birth to the muscle car era with the GTO. Yes. Now, if you want to research this, go back, check it out. The GTO actually came out and hit the market before the Ford Mustang. Because essentially the Ford Mustang gave birth to the pony car era, where the GTO was muscle cars. Because muscle cars is a lot of power in a regular car. By doing that, they put a ton of power in, and kids loved it. I can now take my mom's car out, all this power, and go drag racing. Sure, sports cars are great, but it's only 2 seats. I want to go out and I want to drag race. And I want to bring my girlfriend and my best bud. Because, you know, we're going out partying, but we're going to race there. We got balls deep power in this bad boy. Muscle cars kind of gave us our new entry into somewhat of a family-friendly sports car. But the funniest thing is, while we were doing this, the concept world was also giving us something else. They were giving us 4-door Mustangs. They were giving us 4-door Corvettes. They were showing us maybe the sports car industry could still have that family-friendly luster that we all want, because we want fun car. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite TV shows here, and Otto, when he asked for the money from Grandpa Simpson, I want to soup up the bus, and I want to jam those kids to school at 200 miles an hour, man. Here's an artist rendition. Notice the naked chick with the snake on the front. Yeah, Otto wanted that. And every time I think about it and see really cool ideas like that out there, it's amazing. The aftermarket industry is full of it. The concept of the SRT Hellcat-powered Chrysler Pacifica is something I would want. I'd jam my kids to school in that damn thing. I don't really care. Hell, I'd use a Durango RT, lots of power. And it's more of a family-friendly power vehicle, but it's not a family-friendly sports car. And car companies still hadn't got that. In the 70s, we started getting muscle car infused station wagons. Oh yeah, we had the Chevelle wagon. We had the Torino wagon. We had station wagon with the same big block engine. We were jamming underneath the hood of these muscle cars. So isn't that a family-friendly sports car? No. That's the same thing as when the Dodge Charger came back and they put a Hemi underneath the hood of it. Well, it's a family-friendly sports car. Not necessarily. Because one, the Hemi edition usually came with the RT or the SRT, so it's an aftermarket variation of the vehicle. So it's not a dedicated sports car. It's originally built to be a standard sedan. We're just beefing it up. The muscle cars, like the Chevelle SS wagon, was essentially just a muscle car with more space in it. It still ran on the muscle car field. And even though we had seen four-door Mustang concepts, hell, even Corvettes, or even Corvette shooting brakes, we still didn't have one. Now, the shooting brake is one of the few ways we managed to get a family-friendly sports car by the 1970s. Companies doing conversions or even selling variations of coach-build ones right from the factory, like Jaguar and even Corvette did. Hell, there's even a Trans Am station wagon, but they're not factory produced. It's something that's still manufactured outside of the realms of the standard product. Those Jaguar XJs you see as shooting brakes, those didn't come off the production line. Those are built afterwards. And yet again, we're still not getting our family-friendly sports cars. We're getting a market that's trying to build interest for it. We're getting people highly interested in it, but because of the added cost of buying the vehicle and then building this on top of it, it's still out of the hands of your average consumer. And your average consumer is the number one person who wants that family-friendly sports car. Any rich person out there can get that supercar and then roll up in a Rolls Royce. It's got supercar power underneath the hood of it, but it doesn't roll that way. No, it's just a cruiser. It's one of those fun vehicles. If you're going to drop it like it's hot, you want to do it in Range Rover, Rolls Royce, or Bentley. Still not your family-friendly sports car we're looking for. Now, with the rise of the shooting brake industry blending into the sports car arena, we started getting more interest. People were seeing these things in magazines and they wanted them, but they wanted them again at the entry-level prices. Companies started figuring this out, and they realized they can command a higher degree price range for these family-friendly sports cars. And if you're building them off of standard products, you can yield a better income from it. By the 1980s, a bunch of companies started figuring this out. To meet new CAF agreement rules, the Ford Mustang, for the first time in history, came with a 4-cylinder engine. They needed to meet these new regulations, and they wanted to make it a fuel-efficient muscle car. Now, with a 4-cylinder, it doesn't fall into the muscle car arena, but it still has the image of that muscle car. And with 4 seats, a 4-cylinder engine, and a budget-friendly entry price, oh, isn't this the family-friendly sports car? It kind of is building on the momentum of the marketplace that we wanted, but it's not giving us what we need. Because for a dedicated family-friendly sports car, we need 4 doors. Ferrari started playing around with the idea of a 4-door sedan. And even though the product was created, it was almost production ready, they decided to pull the plug on it because at the last minute they realized that this vehicle could essentially destroy the image of Ferrari. Porsche was playing around with the idea as well, stretching out a 959 to make a sedan variation of it. Both companies were sports cars, purebred sports car manufacturers, and they were considering building a high volume vehicle to get rich families to the golf course. This wasn't about mom or dad hopping in the Ferrari with their golf clubs or, skates or whatever else you're going to do. Yoga mat, think of the hot mom and the Ferrari with the yoga mat. They're going to leave that image there. Driving out to what they were going to do, and then coming home. No, this is family friendly. These are a bunch of rich people that want to hop in the Ferrari. They want to drive all the way to Six Flags. And then want to go ride roller coasters all day. They want to get their food and they want to come home. These are the same people that want to go to a high event gala. They want to roll up as fast as possible in the best possible way and get out. The Ferrari and Porsche both thought about that. But they didn't want to take a crack at destroying their image. Ferrari especially, because they essentially built that empire on sports cars. With the help of the Formula One team, that's all people wanted to know them for. Porsche was a little bit different on the other side. But by the late 70s, Lamborghini was going after a military contract. To try and keep the company alive, they decided to use their engineering from the tractor division to help build the LMP001, which is going to become a new vehicle for the Italian military. It's going to be the fastest accelerating pickup truck in the desert scene ever. It's going to be great. And it's going to be a Lamborghini. Now, Lamborghini didn't do it to chase volumes. No, they did it for a military contract. Now, when that military contract was awarded to Fiat, they literally threw their hands up in the air and said, fuck, what are we going to do now? We spent all this money on this. Oh, shit, man. If we turn around and sold it to the average consumer, or, well, wealthy consumer, how many do we have to build to make our money back and possibly make a profit off of it? So they crunched the numbers and realized they could. The LM001 was essentially the first foray into a family-friendly sports car. Now, it wasn't for everyone. There were very limited production volumes, and it was only for high-end clientele. They ran into a lot of issues with these things, and even the box on it was really non-existent. It was small and barely used for anything, but the people that were buying it so them and their friends and family can get out to the cottage, drive through the sand dunes. Rich sheiks were piling their friends into the vehicles and going blaring through the back sand dunes. This is all fun, the fun for the family. And Lamborghini got us in there. Well, now it's the late 90s. And the 90s is kind of a crazy time. We're going through a major transition. We're getting better fuel economy. We're starting to look at new power sources. We're going through a full design change where we, don't have to be subjected to either round or square headlights. All those standards are now blown out the window. We can create whatever bubble designs, bubble headlight, all new technology. Computers are starting to take off. We can do anything. And then Dodge says, hey, remember the Charger, that amazing muscle car from back in the day? Let's add 2 more doors to it and let's bring it out to the public. The original concept was essentially a family-friendly sports car. Its design looked like today's coupe profile sedans. We had the CLS, which essentially helped pioneer the coupe profile sedan market, with the Volkswagen Passat CC coming in behind it. For your average consumer, the Dodge Charger was paving the way for this. Now, when the model finally hit the marketplace, utilizing the Dodge Hemi C concept, really weird ass looking thing, you couldn't see anything from that kind of made it into it except for its profile. When the Charger came out, we didn't see it as a muscle car, we saw it as a sedan. But as Dodge started putting more and more power into it, putting more emphasis on the amount of power in it, we started to see it as a family-friendly muscle car. Sorry to say, Dodge kind of lost the boat on that one. They went after the muscle car era yet again with a 4-door product. A couple of years down the road, Lamborghini has been taken over by Volkswagen, and Lotus is with Proton. Both companies are looking for a new way to make more money. And after seeing the success of the Porsche Cayenne and Porsche having the idea of building a sedan now, the Panamera, Lamborghini plays around with the idea of the Evoque. Lotus gives us a sedan. Now, only one of those 2 companies today actually built that sedan years later, but they thought about it. They said to themselves, Porsche creating an CUV for its production line massively changed them around. Hell, they were about to buy out Volkswagen before the market took a tumble and essentially the wheels turned and Volkswagen bought them out completely. But the Cayenne was showcasing to us you can add all the sports car features into a CUV. And they were about to do it again with the Panamera. Add all the sports car features into a 4-door sedan. They were building family-friendly sports cars. A Porsche Cayenne is essentially one of the very first family-friendly sports cars. And with its price being a lot lower than the LM001, its versatility being way off the scale compared to the original Lamborghini, and the fact that its price point put it in line with more entry-level high-end earners and not just million and billionaires, it was more in line with the markets. And Cadillac helped show the marketplace that these big burly SUVs and CUVs could be done when they created the Cadillac Escalade, the first generation off the original GMC Yukon Denali's. But for Porsche to give us the Cayenne and then release the Panamera, they were showcasing to us that a sports car company can change itself. They could still sell their high-end product. The 911s, the 911 Turbos, the 918s, the Boxsters, the Caymans, but still appeal to those same families. Or mom or dad hops in the 911 to go back and forth to work. On the weekends, they hop in the Cayenne and Panamera to go skiing, to go to the cottage, to go on a road trip somewhere. These were built for families in mind. But yet again, it's still just a standard sedan and a standard CUV. Not too long after this, Ferrari saw that there was a marketplace for somewhat of an enhanced Grand Touring product. They looked at their Grand Touring lineup and said, can we do more? And not wanting to saturate their brand image like Porsche did, they decided to create the Ferrari FF. Essentially, a Ferrari for the family market. A lot more easily accessible to get into the back seats than the standard GT products. And with the shooting brake design, you could store more product in it as well. 4 people can comfortably go on a weekend ski trip in it. This wasn't your standard Grand Touring product. This was more. This was suited to the family person. Now, wasn't suited to people with really small kit. The Cayenne was there. The Panamera was there. Ferrari hadn't gone. Essentially, the FF is what the Corvette created back in the 70s. The Aerovet. Like we said, it's one of the most civilized versions of a Grand Touring product for the people. But it's still not enough. We need more. Kick the can a little further down the road. And here we are coming into the teen years of the 2000s. And the electric industry is starting to gain traction. Ford sees something new. They're not the first company to make notice of this. The original Nissan Murano that came out in the early 2000s was essentially a sport-infused crossover utility market. It wasn't your standard CUV, which kind of took the profile of a standard SUV. No, this had a flowing design that embodied more performance to it, kind of like the Infiniti FX 35s and 45s. They made it seem like a high-riding sports car more than a standard CUV. But at that point in time, we just called them CUVs because that's all we saw. Anything that was lifted above the ground was a CUV. Anything close to the ground was a station wagon. Well, by the teen years, late teen years, we could say, a new marketplace was starting to take shape. Coupe profiles of CUVs were starting to come out. We were starting to give people more of that coupe style for vehicles. BMW gave us the X6. Mercedes gave us the CLS coupes. When everybody was going after this. But these were just, standard CUVs with a trunk. It's a coupe. It's utilizing a coupe profile. It's not utilizing a sports car profile. We need something that looks like a sports car to give us that full family-friendly experience. And we have to make it available to the masses. Well, Ford became the company to crack that code. Similar to Henry Ford cracking the original code to bring vehicles to the entire masses of the world, Ford cracked it and created one of the earliest active lifestyle vehicles you can find with the Mustang Mach-E. Yeah, it's a four-door version of the Ford Mustang, but it's not a sedan. It's not a CUV. It's not a crossover. So what is it? It's an active lifestyle vehicle. So for my generation, they call me the millennial, but I'm kind of like that, mid-tier generation that runs between 1977 and 1983. Yeah, I'm right in there. We're the people that want to go out. We tend to do more yoga, go to exercising, go hiking. We're the people that have active lifestyles. The cross-trek and trekking market really brought us into this adventurous style. But now we have a family and we want to get around town. We still want that old drivability to go on dirt roads, but we want to look like we're going fast as we're sitting on the road. We can't afford to get a Mustang because we can't afford that third vehicle, but we want to have something that's fun and looks great. The market finally answered us with the arrival of the Mustang Mach-E. Gave birth to the first full-bred, family-friendly sports car to hit the market. It showed us something that we can all get. Hell, myself, I can afford to get one. My father can afford to get one. My aunt that runs $1 million corporation can afford to get one. We all can get it. So the sports car market is just within our grasps. They had sport-infused vehicles for years. I owned a CX-9 first generation. And trust me, that thing really took its motto to heart. Mazda back in the day used to use that motto, zoom, zoom. They had that kid that used to come on right after the car went by and went, zoom, zoom. Yeah, that one, my CX-9 first generation, that thing was crazy. I used to go off ramps and I could still hit between 80 and 90 kilometers an hour taking an off ramp. I drive my truck and my beast of a Borrego after that. A lot more power in the CX-9. I felt like I was tipping at 60 and this thing was doing it at like 80. It felt like a sports car. It handled similar to a sports car, but it fit my family. I wouldn't call it a family family-friendly sports car. It was a sport-infused crossover utility vehicle. But an active lifestyle vehicle is dedicated for that sports car interested family person. The Lamborghini Urus does that. The new Ferrari Purasang does that. They all give us this inspiration that we could take our families for a fun night out. I'm going to use a context from, way back, so don't get pissed at me for saying this, but, dad just wants to take the family out to get some ice cream, but he doesn't want to have to worry about kids getting the ice cream all over his 70 Mustangs interior. No, he's going to throw them in the mach-e. We're going to look cool while we do it. We're going to drive fast. We're going to have fun. And we're driving something with a name. It may hurt the image of the vehicle, but since the Mustang name is so strong and it's been born into a new age with both its design, its power, and its history, having the 4-cylinder in that, it showed us that a sports car can be more. General Motors is now looking at this, and they're thinking of bringing back the Camaro as a brand new crossover utility vehicle, more of an active lifestyle vehicle to compete in this brand new family-friendly sports car market. The luxury market end has had these vehicles for a few decades, but entry-level customers are just starting to get them. Hell, the Blazer returning onto a marketplace like that is trying to go after that appearance. But in all reality, we all know it's just a crossover utility vehicle using the name of a fully bred off-road truck. Okay? Yeah, the Blazer. That was utility, not civil life. So the sports car appeal is coming out, creating a Corvette or Camaro sub-brand, utilizing the Charger name for both a 2- and 4-door model now, and having vehicles like the SRT8 Durangos out there. This family-friendly sports car market is starting to take off. And with the drop in sales in the sports car market, with people reverting back to 2-car households, these car companies have to figure something out to get people to buy sports cars. And what's the best way to do it? And let the family man have what he really wants. I know tons of people that, they're always pushed into buying minivans or, the big Suburbans. Oh, we need something for the family and we need it to be safe and, have all kinds of good features and easily accessible. In the back of your head, you're just going, shut the fuck up. I just want to drive fast. Plus, I got to drive this beast of a thing. I don't want to look like a freaking, weird ass tool who's basically whipped by my spouse. No, I want to look like I'm cool and have fun. I don't want to be rolling up with a cigar between my fingers, go, oh yeah, that's right. This is mine. Oh yeah. I don't be rolling up in the minivan all crouched up forward because I'm not allowed to adjust the seat like Adam Sandler in that one movie. I just got the seat, the perfect position. You sure you're not comfortable? No, I'm good. And as I like to say, when I get into my wife's RAV with her seat way forward, I'm like, I always take the steering wheel and I look at my kids and go, dee dee, and I roll the seat back and I go, doo 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 doo. If you watch The Simpsons, you know exactly what line I'm doing. Okay. Yeah. You know what you want. And it's funny because it's true. It's true because we're so lame. Yeah, it's so true. But in all reality, that's what we want. We want these family-friendly sports cars. Porsche is the first company to do that for us. And now they're trying to electrify all of them. Lotus is replicating the success of Porsche with their brand new electric SUV and sedan. Lamborghini, they get the Urus. They're not considering expanding upon that, but they still have it. Ferrari's finally given us the Purasang. McLaren and Koenigsegg are kind of sitting back. Koenigsegg doesn't want to get into this, but they did create the Camaro, a gull-wing sedan in a sense. It's the same idea as the DeLorean Alpha 5 that's coming out. Essentially, a 4-seat sports car. Yeah, they're here. They're only for the rich. But we finally have that family-friendly sedan that looks exactly like a sports car. We got the Camaro and the DeLorean Alpha 5. And because it's only one solid door that opens up to expose 2 seats on either side, it essentially falls into the same lines as the sports car industry. So yeah, it's here. Will it diminish the appeal of other people's cars? Will it kill the 2-door model arena? Or have we just managed to find a way to crack the actual sports car marketplace? Are gull-wing doors the answer? Because we all know that 4 conventional doors, it's just a sedan, but 2 gull-wing doors sized well enough to expose 2 seats on either side, that's something completely different. So for today's marketplace, the family-friendly sports car has arrived. Active lifestyle vehicles are where they're at. And anything else over and above that, it's just pure fun. So for my friend that had to sell his 300ZX to get that stupid... He didn't buy a minivan, but he got a stupid freaking crappy SUV. You know, he's a Ford guy, so probably an Explorer. In today's market, yeah, he can get rid of his 300ZX, but he can go out and get himself a Mach-e. It's cool. It's fun. It's great. The family-friendly sports car. It's here. It looks like it's going to be sticking around for a while. So if you like this podcast, please like, share, and comment about it on any of the major social feeds or streaming sites that you've found the AutoLooks podcast on. Like us, comment about us, share us, send us a comment about what you think is a cool, what you would consider family-friendly sports car. Do you agree with some of the ones that we talked about in this? Are you like myself? I still don't consider the Mustang Mach-E a true Mustang. It's the purebred Mustang name. Now, it's got to be a big, burly, 2-door V8 pony car. But in a sense, I'm also a family man, so I'd buy a Mustang Mach-E just so I can say I got a Mustang that I jam my kids to school in. You know, it does have that coolness ring to it, as opposed to pulling up in an SRT8 powered Pacifica. People are like, oh, you got a Pacifica? I'm like, yeah, but it's got a big block V8 underneath the hood. I'm pumping out 600 horsepower in this bad boy. Yeah, it's still a Pacifica. When you roll up in the Mustang, you're like, ooh, a Mustang. Yeah, it's an electric Mustang. It's still got 4 doors, but it's a Mustang. Ooh. You get my drift? That's why the family-friendly sports cars have finally come out. That we finally passed the generational gap where vehicles like this are socially acceptable and can be socially acceptable as those names. Even if, I've done podcasts about it where they essentially just strip the soul out of the original vehicle and put it into a different one. You're Ursula and you took Ariel's soul. You're using it for a different one. No, not really. It's just reutilization of the name. Dodge started it with the Charger. And like I said, go back, check out the website. Go to autolooks.net, read some of the reviews, check out some of the ratings, go to the Corporate Links website page, big or small. We have them all available on the autolooks.net website on the Corporate Links tab at the top of the page. And if you click the podcast one, you can bring up this podcast and see the cars that we've talked about. I know we don't have, a full-scale YouTube video where you can see all these things flipping in the back, but you know what? Sometimes you got to do a little bit digging. Sometimes you got to use your fingers and your mind and bypass artificial intelligence and do the work yourself to find some of these things. Trust me, it's a lot more fun. If you have trouble, send us an email. Tell us how much it sucks, how much I should go shove it, whatever else. I don't really give a crap. Send it. Like it, comment about it, post it, do what you want. You're your own person. You got your own opinions, and we're all for that. The AutoLooks podcast is brought to you by Ecom Entertainment Group and distributed by Podbeam.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email over at email@autolooks.net. So for myself, Everett J., the host and owner of both the AutoLooks.net website and the AutoLooks podcast, and is a general manager of Ecom Entertainment Group, strap yourself in for this one fun, wild ride that these brand new sports cars are going to take us on.